Hi, I'm Mike Ryan. In part one of our video on turquoise treatment, we had an overview of the topic. And in this part two, we'd like to expand on some of the definitions of the different types of treatment. Let's begin by remembering that over 80% of all turquoise on the market requires some form of treatment for hardness, color, or both. And this is really because turquoise has water in it. It's a hydrous aluminum phosphate. And as that water evaporates, the color gets more pale. And the stone needs to be hardened, and that when that is done, that color will also become darker. So one of the common ways to do that, the most common, is to make it harder by injecting plastic into the stone. And the two forms of plastic that are used are epoxy and acrylic. Now, epoxy is very viscous. And in order to get that very thick, viscous material into the stone, it requires, one, a very porous, chalky stone to begin with. So your lowest grades of turquoise really lend themselves more towards epoxy treatment. In order to do that, that epoxy has to be entered into that stone via pressure. So you have these autoclaves where they're using extreme pressure to inject that epoxy into the stone. Because it's very viscous, it lends itself towards having color mixed into the plastic epoxy, and then that can be injected in the stone. So you're not only making it harder, but you're going to either change or affect the color of that stone, and that is what we call color shot. Acrylic, because it's a much thinner plastic material, can be applied to a higher grade of turquoise. You know, within turquoise, even within the 80+% that is not hard enough to be sold as natural for jewelry, there are still lots of grades, various grades within the area of treatment. And the final product can have a wide range of not only grade, but also price. So the acrylic requires a little bit higher grade of turquoise, still not high enough to not require treatment, but different than the lowest grade chalk. So these two forms of treatment with plastic are called stabilized turquoise. The other form of treatment is to not inject plastic into the stone to make it harder and to make the color deeper, but to actually grow silica crystals inside the stone. And this is called the Zachary process. It's a proprietary patented process. And this process is very difficult to differentiate from natural, because what makes natural turquoise harder is because it has more silica in it naturally to make it harder and to hold the polish and hold the color better. So this we call enhanced turquoise. The final area is compressed block. Now, when we get into this area, we're really leaving any pretense to any foundation in natural turquoise. At least the stabilized and enhanced turquoise starts with a natural turquoise product. With compressed block, you're going to take crushed up turquoise, other crushed up minerals, crushed up who knows what. You can put any sort of color you want in there, so you can come up with some very exotic colors of compressed block, and then it's compressed into a block form with a press. Now, this product is very popular among manufacturers because they can have consistency in their product line. Color will be consistent, hardness will be consistent. They can cut it up into any shape they want, because manufacturers don't want to have one product line this year and then go into the next season and then find, well, we can't source the same material. With compressed block, you can do that. But we're getting into imitation turquoise now. So the consumer just needs to understand these definitions and understand the marketplace for treated turquoise. And that marketplace is going to be expanding because natural turquoise is so rare and it is so underpriced right now that there's very little incentive for miners to make the time and effort to get the natural turquoise. You know that it's going to cost the miner just as much to dig up the overburden and to dig around, and 80 to 90% of what they're going to find is going to be lower grade. And it's very hard for them to do cost accounting. And so the consumer benefits because that natural turquoise, especially at the highest grades, very underpriced, in my opinion. It's going to be an expanding market. We're already seeing lots of turquoise coming in from overseas. You've got a lot from Mexico, other countries. Kazakhstan now has a turquoise product. All of this treated turquoise that is greatly expanding the market for treated turquoise. So as a consumer, just remember, you should probably assume it's stabilized unless you've got a very good reason to know that that is natural turquoise. So I hope these explanations have been informative and useful.